Rudy Garza, President and Chief Executive Officer, CPS Energy.
Hello, everybody. I'm Taylor Eighmy, and we're really happy to be having this conversation with you. Thank you to ARPA-E for the invite to have this conversation. And Rudy and I want you to know that we've known each other for quite some time. We're good friends and colleagues, and we hope that comes out in our conversation. So why don't we dive in? Rudy, tell us a little bit about CPS Energy. Share your vision that CPS has under this program, Energy Vision 2027, and talk a little bit about why R&D is so important to your company, why innovation is so important.
Well, good afternoon. Appreciate you all being here to listen to us today. And first off, I want to thank Dr. Eighmy, who is a good friend down in San Antonio and does great work for our only Tier 1 institution in the community. I want to thank the folks from ARPA-E for inviting us today, and I look forward to this conversation. So CPS Energy, we serve 1.3 million customers in and around the San Antonio area, and we're the largest municipally owned electric and gas utility in the country. We're still vertically integrated, so in Texas, parts of Texas are open to competition. We still do the whole value chain. So we generate power, we transmit it over our wires, and we're the retailer for our customers, and we provide retail gas service as well. So by any measure, we're a large entity. We came up a couple of years ago with our Vision 2027 strategy, which really is intended to carry us into the future. Our industry is going through as much change right now as it's ever been. As the bells were going through in the late 80s and early 90s, you know, we are moving from a traditional utility model to a distributed utility model. And I'll tell you, I walked through the showroom a little while ago. Congratulations to all of you all for the wonderful work that you're doing. But, you know, we are a forward-thinking utility. You know, we are firmly embracing the transition that's upon us. And a lot of that has to do with the work that we have done with UTSA in the research area. So, again, I think we've got a lot to talk about today. Taylor, right back at you. Please explain a bit about UTSA and its role in the San Antonio community, especially as an R&D enterprise. And feel free to talk about our partnership, the Texas Sustainable Energy Research Institute, TSERI as well.
Yeah, we're really fortunate. We're a R1, Carnegie R1 institution, the largest in San Antonio. San Antonio is the 7th biggest city in the US. We have about 35,000 students, 5,000 faculty and staff. We do about $150 million a year in R&D expenditures. We play a critical role in our community around advancing educational opportunity. Most of the kids that go to UTSA are Pell eligible in first gen, but that doesn't get in the way of our also wanting to be an absolutely really critical Tier 1 research institution. And much of our focus that we have is tied to energy and sustainability, and we have this really special relationship with CPS. We have been operating under this 10-year MOU around collaborative research, and CPS has been a very generous supporter, principally through the TSERI, the Texas Sustainable Energy Research Institute, that's been in place for about 20 years now at UTSA. It's a research institute that has faculty from all of our colleges, about 70 faculty, and they work on all sorts of things from policy to technological innovation, development, and evaluation in the climate change space, in the carbon storage space, in the energy optimization space, and battery technologies and the like. And it's a very important, powerful research partnership for CPS. CPS also has other relationships that are important, including Southwest Research Institute and other universities, but this one is very, very foundational. I also want you all to know that we are one of the important customers for CPS Energy. We spend about $13 million a year on electricity and natural gas provision, and that's important. And I also would share Rudy's son Noah is a roadrunner and goes to UTSA.
Yeah.
So Rudy, right back at you again. Let me get to my next question here. Rudy, one of the foundational research partnerships we have with you is a very long-standing one. It's around the Smart Grid Initiative, integrating renewables, energy storage solutions, and impact of EVs on demand dynamics, and it has a cybersecurity framework. Would you talk a little bit about why this is important to CPS and to San Antonio?
Well, just by a show of hands, who here thinks that the utility industry is by its very nature great innovators? Anybody? Not one hand went up.
Maybe one.
You know, it's kind of a joke amongst my peers across the industry. But if Thomas Edison came back to life today, he'd still recognize his invention. And we got to find a way, to change, that dynamic. So, I reckon one of the few talents that I've got is recognizing what I don't know and what I don't do well. And innovation is one of those things that I just, we're so focused in on keeping the lights on, keeping the gas flowing, that we're not thinking about innovation, 10, 20, 30, 50 years down the road. So for us, our partnership with institutions like UTSA, like the Electric, Power Research Institute, like the Southwest Research Institute, and I know we've got some SWRI folks here, and y'all are a great organization, great partner for us in San Antonio, and there are others. We will partner with certain universities on drone technology. We'll partner with certain universities on other aspects of grid modernization. But the 10 years we've been working with UTSA really has led to some really significant advances for us. I don't spend a lot of time talking about why renewables, for instance, may not be the best resource for our grid, because we figured out how to make it work for San Antonio. We're the number one purchaser of solar power in the state of Texas. We're number two purchaser of wind power in the state of Texas. And the research that UTSA has done for us, for instance, is to help us with models that allow us to forecast exactly how much megawatts of solar we're going to get in any given day based on cloud cover and weather patterns and things of that nature. That's just one example of how we take research capabilities that Dr. Eimy and his team have and translate them into usable data that allow us to be good operators of a utility system. So we're going to continue to partner on innovation. Again, I spend roughly $2.5 million a year on these type of partnerships. I think our partnership represents a little over $500,000 a year, and some years maybe $800,000. Other years maybe it's less. But we've consistently applied this model that's moved us into the future. One of the things that I talk a lot about is the CPS Energy we've been in the past is not the CPS Energy we are today, and it can be the CPS Energy we need to be for our customers in the future. If we're going to stay relevant as customers are trying to gain more control over their energy independence, it's going to have to take new ways of doing business, which Dr. Eimy and his team really help us with a lot. Taylor, we turn to you for help with digital twin, and you're doing work across San Antonio in this space using sophisticated optimization for simulating the deployment of charging stations in particular, and the impacts of EV charging station demands have on our grid. What have we learned about technology innovation and adoption from your perspective?
Yeah. San Antonio has a lot of foresight going right now, and this concept, you're all aware of the issues related to and the opportunities related to becoming a smart city, and one of the things, and we'll talk about that, and one of the things that we're very interested in is the development of a digital twin for San Antonio, and it's an evolving project. It's been underway for about a year now, and it will continue to evolve, and it's going to become foundational to this work that we have across the community about being a smart city. And the digital twin is kind of an interesting construct. It's got a geospatial AI foundational component to it that has a very high resolution capability at the 1 meter scale level, and layers are being added to it. So one layer is transportation and transportation infrastructure, another is buildings, another is utilities, another is vegetation, Another is water and water courses and what the San Antonio River is doing. Another is, on top of it, more sophisticated applications related to where charging stations are located presently and where our multimodal transportation system, our buses and scooters and cars are connecting to EV systems across the city. And the layers are operated as such that it's a very engaging, it's an NVIDIA-based AI geospatial model that's putting these layers in so you can interrogate the model and go to icons on the model and run simulations around electrical use or charging consumption or flooding. And we have initiatives underway that are tied to policy development with the model. We have initiatives underway that are tied to flooding predictions and where floods are going to impact infrastructure when the San Antonio River floods. We have efforts underway to map heat islands within the community and trying to figure out where we need to put more vegetation in San Antonio. And it's all being driven by a very interactive and continuously evolving digital twin of the city. And it's actually coming to real importance for us because of the emphasis now on electric vehicles in San Antonio and the fact that we're wanting to put more multimodal transportation into San Antonio. So this focus on figuring out where to place things and how to optimize their use and how to integrate it into the energy infrastructure is becoming an important feature of this. And this will all feed into the discussions and policy development that's happening at CPS Energy, that's happening with City Council, and with partnerships with Bexar County and with the business community. One of the layers of the model that's being developed presently involves identifying all businesses and locations and people involvement with commuting in and out of San Antonio, and it reflects all the interest that's underway about bringing people back to work into downtown San Antonio post-pandemic. So it's a very interesting creative model, and it's being driven by a geospatial AI layer development effort. So it's something that's work in progress, but I think we're all going to put it to good use as it continues.
Yes, sir.
So, Rudy, I have a question for you. Let's talk about battery storage. You know, it's a really important component of things that we're both thinking about, and in our evolved technological adoption model that we have for San Antonio and CPSC. Talk about battery storage and what we're doing together with our close partners, Southwest Research Institute, for evaluating battery storage with solar and wind systems, and how we're working with CellCube and with Microsoft on battery evaluations. What's going on there?
Well, look, we've got a very, very aggressive plan for battery storage in San Antonio. I guess it's been about 5 years now, give or take, that we decided we're going to do a 10 megawatt battery at Sweary. And we were going to use that either as a 1 hour storage system or as a 5 megawatt 2 hour storage system. And the idea was, you know, to learn, to teach our employees, because we're in a transition workforce-wise as well. As the industry is transitioning to a more distributed model, our workforce skill sets have to change. And so we were trying to get some of our plant maintenance employees to start picking up skill sets of dealing with batteries. So for us, it was strategic in that sense. But every day we've got an operational call that we get on, and if we had problems with the battery in the same way that we've got problems with, you know, a gas generator or our coal units, which we're moving away from, you know, within the next few years, you know, we treat the battery system just like any other resource. We're going to be investing in over 1 gigawatt of battery storage over the next few years. We're in the middle of a 400 megawatt. Hopefully we'll get close to 500 megawatts RFP right now, which I'm hoping will be finalized by the end of this year, and we've got another 500 megawatts to go. So, you know, the way utilities, you know, make thoughtful investments is they do a pilot project like what we've done here. They gain experience, and then we can scale that up. It's going to take real investments to help the technology get there and to understand how to operate it in a way that's reliable. My customers, they love the fact that we do these things, but they only allow us to do these things and spend money in this way if we're reliable first, and if the rates remain affordable as well, and CPS Energy has some of the lowest rates in the state of Texas. So our model has proven that we can be both innovative and continue to be affordable at the same time. But these type of projects, we've got a lot of large loads that are already in San Antonio, data centers, crypto miners. Those kind of loads are putting a lot of pressure on utilities across the country. We are going to have to move to a different model of how we manage those peaks at the end of the evening when the solar starts to ramp down. That's where battery storage, provides, a ton of value for keeping our system reliable. And as these large loads comes in, it just makes that technology that much more relevant. And so I think we're making the right investments. I think we're going to continue to partner, to make sure that we're on the cutting edge of the type of technology, battery technology. Again, I saw a ton of really cool stuff, battery related in the hall today. Some of you are going to be making follow-up phone calls from my team, so don't be surprised to get some calls on it. But we're really excited. The gas, construction of gas resources is not coming along as quickly as the load is growing. So we're going to have to figure it out. I mean, we can't sit around, lamenting the fact that we're not getting, the kind of resources we want. We got to take whatever resources we get and then figure out a way, to technologically close the gap, to ensure that the lights stay on. That's what we're focused on. And for us, it's all of the above strategy. If you've got a technology that you're bringing along and it requires a partner, trust me, CPS Energy is willing to have a conversation. And quite frankly, coming through the academia, side of the house, I think is a really good entry point into, being partners with us.
As a little riff on that, though, we have the capacity to test and evaluate batteries, but our colleagues and our sister institution in San Antonio, Southwest Research Institute, has a really first-class operation around battery evaluation, battery development, and technology evaluation. So that partnership, that three-way partnership in this case is really important for the community going forward.
Yes, sir. So, we're not quite home yet, but we're rounding third base. So to close this out, last couple of questions here, Taylor. We both signed an MOU with the City of San Antonio and with ARPA-E around electric aircraft and multimodal sustainable transportation demonstration projects. Talk to me about this effort and who we'll be working with to try to make this happen.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. I hang out in Washington, D.C. a bit, and I'm involved with the National Academy's Government University Industry Research Roundtable, GWIR, and I get a chance to hang out with colleagues of like mind, including the heads of the R&D agencies for our federal government, the 17 or so federal agencies that collaborate. So I get to hang out in that space with DOE colleagues. I also have a record of, or not, of my prior job. Before being a president, I was the chief research officer at 3 different institutions, including at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, when I had the chance to really work really closely with Oak Ridge National Lab. And so I've spent much of my career connected to the national lab system and working very closely with DOE. So the opportunity to come to yet another ARPA-E event it means a lot to me, but I digress. 2 years or so ago, a year and a half, my mayor, Ron Nirenberg, our mayor, and I were invited to a White House event related to ARPA infrastructure, ARPA-I. There was an unveiling of that program, and the mayor and I had a chance to talk about all of the infrastructure that was going to be built in San Antonio relative to highways and capital infrastructure, and it was a really important meeting, and that was the real launch of ARPA-I, and I met my ARPA-E colleagues there, and we were chatting some more. A big investment that's happening in San Antonio is coming around our expansion of our airport, and so we started chatting with ARPA-E about the opportunities related to this project, and it translated into an MOU that was signed by the City of San Antonio, CPS Energy, UTSA, the Airport Authority, and ARPA-E. And what we're really creating in San Antonio is a technology innovation accelerator and creating essentially a microgrid that allows connection of multimodal transportation systems, especially electric aircraft, with really elegant battery systems and fast charging systems so that we can evaluate electric aircraft, we can evaluate battery systems, we can evaluate charging systems, and we can put it into an environment that's driven by energy provision from CPS, which has all of the various sources of energy, but it's also connected to how we link our airports. We have 2 airports in the greater San Antonio area, our big international airport and a municipal airport, but it's how we link them to bus transport and transportation locations within the city. So we're creating a microgrid-like environment that has multimodal transportation connected to it and has technologies that we're going to evaluate as we operate this interconnectivity within our system. And so we can assess performance of use, performance of operation, facility of what we've created from this small model. And we want this to translate in scale, so it's going to be important from that regards. And presently, we're working very closely with companies that want to get more involved with their technologies being evaluated here. So if you're interested in having your technology considered in this kind of robust environment, just talk to ARPA-E. They know how to connect you to us, and we would love that. But right now, presently, we've been working with Ampere, the company that makes a hybrid electric aircraft, with Imogen Energy, which is the fast charging system, with Natron Energy, which is one of the battery companies, with AutoGrid, which is a load management technology company, and with QuidNet Energy, which is also a partner with CPS on other energy projects. They do geothermal,
Pumped hydro.
Pumped hydro storage as an energy storage device. And so all of this is really evolving in real time, and we're developing work plans to go forward and test and evaluate technologies in this kind of environment. So we're excited about it, and we're grateful for the partnership with ARPA-E. And with that, Rudy, I think we have time for maybe one last question that I'm going to pose to you. And I'm going to go back to the sustainable energy conversations we had when I first arrived in 2017. We are both working to realize and foster San Antonio's clean energy future. How do you view this evolution that's happening within San Antonio about this focus, given the fact that we're in the great state of Texas, which has an energy abundance across the spectrum of energy supplies?
Well, the reality is, you can argue about the causes of climate change, but the climate is changing. And in San Antonio, our community has committed to a climate action and adaptation plan that requires us to decarbonize in whatever way possible. We have some goals, interim goals in 2030 and 2040 to reach certain limits based on 2016 carbon emission levels. And by 2050, we have to be net zero, meaning we have to be at the 2016 levels. So for us, everything that we're doing is intended to decarbonize to the extent possible. Natural gas will continue to be part of the mix to ensure reliability. But I think in our industry, we tend to think, you can't let the perfect solution get in the way of the possible solution. And every iterative, impact you can make to decarbonize is a good thing. So for us, sustainability, includes all of the above. We're working with Modern Hydrogen, for instance, out of Seattle, on an apparatus that they've built that can decarbonize a portion of your natural gas emissions. We're closing our coal plants down. We're converting the newer of the 2 units to natural gas, which will be an efficient unit. And we're closing a lot of our old inefficient gas plants down. Again, I already referenced the commitment to renewable energy and the commitment to battery storage, which really will allow us to take dispatchable generation and not run it as much when those non-renewable resources, those non-emitting resources are there. So you have to be willing to consider everything. You have to be committed to making an impact. you have to be watching your numbers and set real goals for yourself as both a utility and a community on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And then you have to go to talk to folks at the state and federal level to help, implement policies that are going to help get you there. Doing nothing, in my opinion, is not an option. I think San Antonio and CPS Energy in particular are leaders. We're not the only element, piece of the puzzle, but we're a significant piece of the puzzle. And thankfully, in closing, I'll just say I appreciate the partnership we've had with UTSA, and I appreciate all the things that you all are doing to help move us in the right direction. So thank you very much for having us today, and I look forward to the conversations to come.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.